Hey, what's up guys? Jamie here and welcome back to the channel. You know, in the world of tech, especially smartphones, we see a lot of iteration. A slightly better camera here, a faster chip there, but every now and then, a company tries something truly out there, something bold, something different. And sometimes those bold moves don't quite land with the masses. They don't become the next iPhone or Galaxy. But that doesn't mean they weren't cool or that they didn't have something special. Today, we're diving into some of the most unusual cell phones that didn't quite make it big, but definitely should have. These are the devices that took risks, that pushed boundaries, and that, in their own unique ways, were ahead of their time or just too niche for the market. We're talking about phones that tried to redefine gaming on the go, phones that looked like luxury art pieces, and phones that packed features you just wouldn't expect. It's a trip down memory lane, but also a look at what could have been. So buckle up as we explore these fascinating pieces of mobile history. We'll look at what made them unique, why they ultimately faded into relative obscurity, and most importantly, why they still hold a special place in the Tech Hall of Fame, or at least they should. These are the unsung heroes, the ambitious underdogs, and honestly, some of the coolest phones you might have never even heard of. Let's get into it. Alright, first up, let's talk about a device that tried to fuse the world of mobile phones with dedicated handheld gaming. The Nokia N-Gage. This was back in the early 2000s, a time when mobile gaming pretty much meant Snake 2 or maybe some basic WAP games. Nokia, being the giant they were, saw an opportunity to create a true convergence device. They weren't just aiming for a phone that could play games, they wanted a gaming device that could also make calls. The ambition here was huge, and you have to give them credit for even attempting something this bold when the Game Boy Advance was king. Now, the design of the N-Gage was iconic, to say the least. It's famously remembered for its taco shape, especially when you held it up to your ear to make a call. Yes, you had to hold it sideways, which led to the whole side-talking meme. It was awkward, no doubt, but for gaming, the horizontal layout with a D-pad on the left and action buttons on the right felt somewhat familiar. The screen was in the middle, and while small by today's standards, it was decent for the era. One major quirk though, to change game cartridges, which were MMC cards, you had to remove the back cover and the battery. Not ideal for quick swaps. Despite these design oddities, the N-Gage actually had some pretty impressive gaming capabilities for its time. We're talking titles like Tomb Raider, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Call of Duty, and even a version of Sonic N. These weren't just simple Java games, they were proper ported experiences. However, it faced stiff competition from Nintendo's Game Boy Advance SP, the awkwardness of its phone features, and a relatively high price point. Plus, developers found it a bit challenging, but the vision, the idea of a powerful gaming phone, that was something special, a glimpse into the future that perhaps arrived a little too soon, or in a slightly clumsy package. It definitely deserved more love for its pioneering spirit. Next up, we're shifting gears from gaming utility to pure unadulterated luxury with the Motorola Aura. If the N-Gage was about packing in features, the Aura was all about craftsmanship, materials, and making a statement. This wasn't your everyday workhorse phone. This was a piece of jewelry, a fashion accessory that also happened to make calls. Released in 2008, it came at a time when feature phones were still prevalent, and design differentiation was key. Motorola, known for the iconic Razr, decided to aim for the absolute high end of the market with this one. The standout feature of the Aura, and the one that still looks incredible today, was its perfectly circular display. This was a world-first, a 1.55-inch diameter, 16 million color LCD, protected by a 62-carat sapphire crystal lens, one of the most scratch-resistant materials on Earth. The housing was crafted from stainless steel, with chemically etched textures that felt amazing in the hand. And the opening mechanism? It wasn't just a simple swivel. Motorola engineered a custom-designed rotating mechanism with Swiss-made main bearings, composed of over 130 individual parts, giving it this incredibly satisfying, precise, and almost watch-like feel when you opened and closed it. This phone was all about the experience and the engineering. The gears were made from Rockwell-hardened steel, the same kind used in high-performance racing engines. The attention to detail was just insane. Of course, all this luxury came with a hefty price tag, around $2,000 back in 2008. This naturally limited its mainstream appeal, making it a very niche product. But as a showcase of engineering prowess and a testament to what's possible when design and materials are pushed to the forefront, the Motorola Aura was a masterpiece. It didn't sell in droves, but it definitely turned heads and deserved recognition for its sheer audacity and beauty. Let's jump to something much more recent, a device that really tried to offer a new take on the smartphone form factor, the LG Wing. LG, before they sadly exited the smartphone market, had a history of being quite experimental. Think about the LG Chocolate with its touch-sensitive buttons, or the curved LG G Flex. The Wing, released in 2020, was perhaps one of their boldest experiments, aiming to solve the multitasking puzzle in a very unique way. In a sea of similar-looking rectangular slabs, the Wing dared to be different, offering a swiveling mechanism that revealed a smaller secondary screen. The core innovation was, of course, that main 6.8-inch P OLED display that could rotate 90 degrees into a T-shape, uncovering a 3.9-inch G OLED screen underneath. This allowed for some interesting use cases. You could watch a YouTube video on the main horizontal screen while browsing comments or texting on the smaller square screen below. Or, you could use the main screen as a viewfinder for the camera, with the bottom screen providing gimbal-like controls. The engineering to make this mechanism durable and smooth, with a hydraulic damper and dual lock system, was genuinely impressive. It felt surprisingly robust. However, the LG Wing didn't quite ignite the market. Software optimization for this dual-screen setup was a challenge. Not all apps played nice, and the unique form factor didn't always translate into a killer user experience for everyone. It was also a bit thick and heavy compared to conventional smartphones. And of course, LG's decision to wind down its mobile division shortly after its release didn't help its long-term prospects. But the sheer audacity of the Wing, its attempt to offer a genuinely new way to interact with our phones, was commendable. It was a conversation starter, a head-turner, and a device that showed there was still room for wild ideas in the smartphone space. It deserved a better fate. Now, for a feature that sounds like it's straight out of a spy movie, a phone with a built-in projector. That was the premise behind the Samsung Galaxy Beam, and later the Beam 2. Samsung has never been shy about experimenting. Look at the original Galaxy Note, which many doubted, or the now mainstream Galaxy Fold. The Galaxy Beam, first appearing around 2010 and then with a more refined version in 2012, aimed to bring big screen sharing to your pocket. Imagine impromptu movie nights or quickly sharing a presentation without needing any extra equipment. The appeal was definitely there. The key feature, obviously, was the integrated Pico projector. The 2012 Galaxy Beam packed a 15-lumen projector capable of displaying an image up to 50 inches wide at NHD resolution, 640 by 360. While that doesn't sound like much by today's home theater standards, for a tiny projector embedded in a phone, it was quite a feat. There was a dedicated physical button to turn the projector on and off, and a special app to control settings, correct keystone, and manage what you were projecting. It was surprisingly usable for sharing photos, videos, or even some light web browsing on a wall. So why didn't we all end up with projector phones? Well, the image quality, while novel, wasn't exactly stunning. 15 lumens meant you needed a pretty dark room for a decent experience. Battery life was also a major concern. Projecting content is power-hungry, and the phone's battery would drain pretty quickly. Plus, the phone itself, aside from the projector, was a fairly mid-range Android device. It was a niche feature for sure. But the sheer cool factor of whipping out your phone and projecting a video onto any nearby surface, that was undeniably awesome. The Galaxy Beam was a bold idea that maybe needed the projector tech to mature a bit more, but it was a fun glimpse into a different kind of mobile utility. Last but not least, let's talk about a phone that tried to reinvent productivity in the touchscreen era, the BlackBerry Passport. By the time the Passport launched in 2014, BlackBerry was fighting hard to stay relevant. They knew their core strength was productivity and that legendary physical keyboard, but they needed something to stand out. The Passport was their answer, a device with a very unconventional square design, aimed squarely at professionals who prioritized reading, editing documents, and of course, typing. The most striking thing about the Passport was its 4.5-inch square display with a 1:1 aspect ratio and a 1440 by 1440 resolution. This made it incredibly wide as an actual Passport, hence the name. BlackBerry claimed this unique shape was optimal for viewing and editing spreadsheets, documents, and web pages. offering more horizontal space than typical rectangular screens. And below that wide screen was a 3-row physical QWERTY keyboard. But this wasn't just any BlackBerry keyboard, it was also touch-sensitive. You could swipe across the keys to scroll through web pages or documents, or flick up to select predictive text suggestions. It was a really clever evolution. The Passport certainly had its fans. The reading experience was great, and the keyboard, once you got used to its width and touch capabilities, was fantastic for power users. The build quality was typically solid BlackBerry. However, the wide form factor made one-handed use difficult for some, and media consumption, especially watching videos, was a bit awkward with those large letterboxes. The biggest hurdle, though, was the BlackBerry 10 OS, and its persistent app gap compared to iOS and Android. Despite these challenges, the Passport was a bold, innovative device that truly catered to a specific need. For anyone who missed a great physical keyboard and valued screen real estate for work, it was a dream that deserved a wider audience. So, there you have it, guys. Some of the most unusual cell phones that should have been hits. From the gaming-focused N-Gage to the luxurious Aura, the swiveling wing, the projecting beam, and the ultra-wide Passport, each of these devices dared to be different. They took risks, they pushed boundaries, and they offered unique solutions to problems we didn't even know we had, or addressed existing needs in completely novel ways. It's fascinating to look back at these attempts. While they might not have achieved massive commercial success, these phones are a testament to the spirit of innovation in the tech industry. It's this kind of out-of-the-box thinking that eventually leads to breakthroughs. Not every experiment works out, but the willingness to try something new, something unconventional, is what keeps technology moving forward. These devices remind us that the path to the sleek slabs we carry today was paved with some wonderfully weird and ambitious ideas. Which one was your favorite from this list? Or is there another unsung hero of the mobile world you think deserved more recognition? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. If you enjoyed this trip down tech memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tech videos. It really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.